Why does it feel like you're working harder than ever, but getting poorer and poorer every year? Taxes keep rising, the cost of living keeps going up, and the government has literally no answers. We've seen this before, like in Germany a century ago, or in Argentina more recently. Nobody knew about hyperinflation before it was too late. Where you're not whinging about the cost of living, you literally can't afford bread and milk. Most people will ignore this warning, but the UK could go from inflation to hyperinflation. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Today's video will start with a negative, basically what's going on with the UK economy, but finish on a positive and how long-term investing can help you despite what's going on. Part 1. Britain is living beyond its means. Before we get stuck in, I want to be honest. I'm not an expert on the UK economy, not even close. I'm just an investor with 25 years experience trying to keep up to date with what's going on in the UK and even global economy, so I can help myself as an investor and so I can help you as an investor. Anyway, at the most basic level, every economy works pretty much the same way, the same as a household. Income comes in, expenses go out. If expenses are higher than income, you have 3 choices. 1, cut spending. 2, increase income. 3, borrow or print money. The UK has chosen option 3. Government spending is now hovering around 45% of GDP, while tax revenues struggle to rise above 38% of GDP. That gap matters because when a government consistently spends more than it earns, it doesn't disappear, it compounds. And this isn't a one-off crisis, it's structural. Decades of promises, expanding welfare, bloated bureaucracies, inefficient public spending are all bad. The result, a permanent deficit culture. And once a country gets used to living beyond its means, rolling that back becomes almost impossible. If this type of info resonates, if you want to stay up to date with the UK economy to help you with investing, hit subscribe so we can build wealth together. Part 2. Why raising taxes doesn't fix the problem. When governments run out of money, they reach for the same lever every single time. Let's raise taxes. On paper, it sounds logical. In reality, it's self-defeating. And in my opinion, the tax system is a contributing factor to the collapse of the UK economy. I don't see any creative thinking. Nothing. What about Ireland? When they reduced corporation tax to 12.5% to attract big business. Say what you want, but that has created a lot of jobs for the Irish people. Anyway, history shows that tax revenue has a natural ceiling. Push beyond it and behaviour changes. People, they stop working extra hours, they avoid promotions, they move income offshore, they leave the country, which we've seen big time over the last 12 months. The economy becomes less productive. So even though the government takes a higher percentage, the total amount collected can fall and has fallen. This is why recent tax rises haven't delivered the promised results. You can't tax your way to prosperity. Eventually you hit resistance, not rebellion but quiet withdrawal. Before we go any further, nothing I say should be taken as financial advice, and the full disclaimer can be found below in the description. Part 3. Debt, money printing and the invisible tax. So if higher taxes don't work, what's left? Debt. And when debt becomes too politically uncomfortable, money printing, this is where most people stop paying attention. Because money printing doesn't feel like a tax, but it is. Inflation is a stealth tax. It erodes savings. It punishes cash holders. It rewards debtors. It inflates asset prices. Simply put, we are forced to invest into assets. Something I bang on about all the time here on this channel. You don't vote on it. You don't see it deducted from your payslip, but you feel it every time you shop, rent or renew a mortgage. This is how wealth quietly transfers from the public to the state. And the longer it continues, the more corrosive it becomes. Not just economically, but culturally. It's bad for the country and us as individuals. Part 4. Property, rent seeking and economic stagnation. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but bear with me. It's important. One of Britain's biggest blind spots is property. Property has become the dominant store of wealth. Not because it's productive, but because it's scarce and protected. Here's the problem. Unlike a business, property doesn't generate new value. It extracts value. When younger generations spend half their income on rent or mortgages, they can't invest, start businesses, take risks, build capital. This behaviour is called rent seeking. Earning income without creating productivity. Economies dominate by rent seeking. They don't grow, they stagnate. Argentina suffered from it. Southern Europe has suffered from this recently. Britain is drifting into the same direction. When housing becomes an investment vehicle rather than infrastructure, the entire economy pays the price. From an investment point of view, I've been in property since 2002 and glad it's part of my overall portfolio. Part 5. But we're not Argentina yet. At this point, people I talk to about inflation and hyperinflation usually say, but Britain isn't Argentina. And yes, it's true, for now, Argentina didn't collapse overnight either. In the early 20th century, Argentina was among the richest nations on earth. Higher living standards than many European countries. Massive natural resources. What went wrong? Decades of overspending. Populist policies, money printing, state expansion, attacks on business and capital. Each step felt manageable. Each crisis felt temporary until inflation became permanent. Currency devaluation became normal and trust in institutions evaporated big time. The lesson isn't that Britain will copy Argentina exactly. The lesson, what I'm trying to say, is that the direction of the UK economy matters. And at the minute, it's clearly heading south. The thing is, you might be okay here in the UK at this moment in time, but we could be the next Argentina, which is bad. If you don't believe me, listen to Seeing Kids' free audiobook here on YouTube. What he says about Argentina and inflation, hyperinflation, is frightening. Part 6. Who really pays the price? Here's the brutal truth. The ultra-wealthy adapt. They diversify. They move capital. The people who suffer the most are workers, savers, professionals, small business owners, the middle class, basically, who in my opinion do the most for the UK. Inflation destroys savings. Too much tax punches effort. Regulation kills upside. And over time, people stop believing that working hard leads anywhere. That's the most dangerous point in any society, from what I've read and from what I've taken from some of the better investing channels here on YouTube. Part 7. What you can and cannot control. You cannot control government spending. Tax policy, monetary policy, waiting for politicians to fix this is a losing strategy. But you can control your financial education, how exposed you are to inflation, whether your money works for you or not. This is where responsibility shifts from the state to the individual, whether we like it or not. No one is coming to save you, certainly not the UK government. Part 8. Why long-term investing is the way to go. Long-term investing isn't about getting rich quick. It's about owning productive assets. Historically, in inflationary or unstable periods, the people who survive the best are those who own shares in real businesses, invest consistently, think globally, stay patient. Productive assets adapt. This is why understanding investing is no longer optional. It's how you avoid becoming collateral damage. Part 9. Financial education. This isn't about charts or fancy jargon. It's about understanding how money is created, how it works, how inflation works, how assets grow over time, how incentives shape behaviour. Once you understand that fear disappears. You stop reacting to headlines. You stop panicking. You start thinking in decades. That mindset shift alone separates those who struggle from those who survive. There is something I've missed with this video, and that is deflation. This is something I haven't got any experience of, so I'm not really comfortable talking about it. The main point is to focus on financial education and long-term investing. Summary. If Britain faces harder years ahead, with inflation, stagnation, higher taxes, low growth, will you be prepared? Because history shows one thing very clearly. Economic ignorance is punished brutally. Education is rewarded quietly. Financial education isn't about greed, it's about resilience. And once the penny drops and you realise what's actually going on, you know with everything you've got that long-term investing is a must. But what after all that, you don't fully understand how to invest? Well, don't worry, because in my last video, I've done a crash course in low-cost index funds. After 25 years of investing, this is my favourite way to invest because it's stress-free. See below for the link.